All right, so sticking with Netflix one more time. Let's talk about Lupin, right? Part
Sure.
three, right, or season three, or season two, if you want to call it that, because technically the last two seasons were part one and two, so that makes
Yeah,
it
that's
one
yeah.
season. So
You're
it's
right.
weird like that,
Because
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll do the synopsis for this, right? So Lupin, right? We've covered it since part one, right, or season one, right? I know that you've really enjoyed the show, and of course
Yeah,
it's obvious because you're a huge fan of the Lupin the Third anime, right? The
yeah. But what they do with this is quite clever and
it
smart.
is.
A different conceit. Yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
where basically it's this black guy, this black Frenchman who was born of an immigrant family, sorry, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, he is inspired by the character Lupin, right? So yeah, he's a master thief, and well, they call him a gentleman thief, right? So yeah, he robs from the rich, and it's not so much about giving back to the poor, but just kind of showing the poor people, yeah, me, we could take down the rich people. Like, ah ha ha, look at you, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? I like how they play on that in particular with this season here, right? And well, the first season I talk about, well, parts one and two, I really enjoyed, right? The
Correct.
second one, lean a little on it was a little dark compared to the first half, but I understand why, because that's when things got really personal, right? This is where it involves, well, his ex-wife, I believe it's his ex-wife, right, and his son, right, being in danger, and what he's doing could get them in danger or get them killed and whatnot, right? So it's when he really brought his family into the story that really what made it work, right? But what's interesting is that earlier on they kind of touched on how he became a thief in the first, a master thief in the first place, right? And involves, well, just the mistreatment, just as a employee of his dad, right? Yeah, his dad was working for this guy, and the guy was a
Yeah.
white man, treat him like shit, and it
Yeah.
eventually led to him being arrested because he was accused of stealing, but which he didn't, and yeah, he eventually died in prison, right? I'm gonna bring that up very soon, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, and that inspired Lupin to just do what he do, right? And for me, this was just, well, because there was the film Intouchables, right, from 2011, right? But for me,
Right.
this felt like the real introduction for me to Omar Saido. He is just so charismatic and so
Yeah.
likable, Jed, right? Yeah, you just you root for him, right? And well, this season here, what I will say, just jumping into season three or part two, whatever you want to call it, or season two, right? I am glad that I did not need to recap the 10 episodes of season one, though, because yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah.
was
Exactly.
yeah, because it just starts off strong. I like, again, I just didn't need to remember what happened in the last season. There's little hints of what happened before, little indications. In particular, with the kind of strained relationship between him and his ex, right? So that there's
Right.
that, right? But yeah, we have a Sandiop, right? And
Yeah.
he wants to retire, right? Because he's done with the well, the media in particular hounding down his family and wanting to know where he is, and well, after the last job, right? Everybody wondering if Asan is alive or not, right? But in this
Yeah. Yeah.
case, he pulls off this master plan, because this is based off of a job which he failed at years ago, right? Which was to steal a black pearl, right? And surprise, surprise, he actually does the job, right? But he has a sort of a ulterior motive with it too, right? Where yeah, he fakes his death, right? And it's done so well, right? Because just thinking, 'cause in my head I just there like, all right, it can't just be about you just stealing that black pearl. It had to be something else to it, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna say how it happens, but yeah, the man fake his death, right? And the whole idea is that once everybody sees, right, because it involves a funeral, once everybody sees and acknowledges that he's dead, yeah, he could take his family and well, leave Paris and start a fresh life, right? But that does not work because somebody shows up now, and well, surprise, surprise, kidnaps his mom, right? Because
Hmm.
if you remember from the last season, it was implied that his mother wasn't there in his life, right? She was
Right.
stuck in Senegal for reasons, and we are
Right.
reminded
Well,
why.
yeah, the reference is in the beginning with the letters.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's like
yes.
where yeah. Right.
Because similar to the last season, yeah, we have these flashbacks to
Okay,
when
so I was
Lupin was
trying
a
to piece
kid.
together. I was trying to piece together when it was. Actually, I'll make a better effort on this. are trying to piece together when it was because they had a football match with Zidane. This was the World Cup.
This was it was in 98. It was set in 98.
98. It's World Cup 98, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Cause every time like when the episode starts, 'cause every episode has a flashback to when he's young. Yeah, you would see
Yeah.
98, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it involves a friend of his who gets roped in with a group. Well, I should say this guy who kind of um encourages them, and then it turns to forcing them to do some thievery, right? And it kind of leads to a big plan or master plan, pretty much a big score, if you will, taking place during a World Cup match, right? Well, a major World Cup match, right? But that's that. But yeah, in this case now, his mother's kidnapped now, and he knows it's her, right? Because she actually calls him and tells him who she is, right? So yeah, he has to steal a couple of items now, and that gets him, 2 steps closer into hopefully meeting and saving his mom, right? And I'll stop there, right? So I'll just give my thoughts on this season here one time, right? I really enjoyed this, right? And I actually binged this yesterday time of me recording this. It was 7 episodes long, and it just flew by very well, though. I really dug the pace of it. The pacing is done very well. Again, I didn't need to remember everything that happened in season 1, and I'm glad of that. Actually, compared to the second half of the first season, I felt this one was significantly lighter in tone, and I really appreciate that. It really remind me of the first half of the first season, right? Where yes, things will get dark and grimy and serious, right? I mean, that's understandable. It's to be expected, right? This is not. It's the real world, so to speak, right? So yeah, there are consequences to certain actions, right? But at the same time, it's playing on the whole, sort of like Ocean's 11 kind of style of heist films, where we have to enjoy, the plan being executed, and kind of revel in how ingenious the hero is in outsmarting the foes, and getting the item in the first place, and him just always being 1 step ahead of everybody. That's really where the joy of the film of the show comes in, right? And you hear it really in the music, right? Again, I forgot who did the score for this, right? But I thought like the score, similar to the last seasons, were done very, very well, right? Just that orchestral score really hits. So it's very much like say like you're watching a 60s show, like say I don't know, the Thomas Crown Affair, like the old one, right? It kind of feels like that. It's the romanticism of of the heist, right? And of course it's set in Paris, so I mean you can't go wrong, right? They're gonna do that, right? I just really dug the writing in this as well, though. But I will admit, similar to last season, though, there are huge stretches in this, right? Where like it's like realistically that would never play out the way it is. But alright, it's not meant to be real. I'm not meant to take it too seriously. So okay, I will buy it, right? But there were moments where I was like, nah man, that would never happen in real life, Jay. Like, no, how? But I was like, alright. It's a show, shut up, just watch it and have fun, right?
It's a lot of like I don't think it's a little sloppier than I remember. Like that I'll see. Like
alright. I understand.
It was sloppier than I remember in terms of like how the crimes would play out and the logic of it and whatever it is. Because like last time it was fine. I didn't have a major problem with any of it and the thing. But this time I find it felt a little sloppier, to be honest.
Okay. I understand. I understand. Like I know when it comes to just the the heist genre, your writing have to be on point, right? Like yes, you want the viewer to enjoy watching it, but at the same time you want to come out of it like, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, that makes sense, right? How I saw it was more like, all right, logically, that was not how it would have played out.
No, that's what I'm saying. I find all the
okay, I get it, right.
Yeah, all the heists and them are a lot more sloppier than before. I'll see. That's all I'll say. In terms of like just, they come up with the idea behind the heist and the concepts and things like, okay, it requires a bit of a stretch. However, what happens is that with stuff like this, you had to sacrifice is rule of coolness. You had to sacrifice plausibility for coolness. So
and I will admit though, this season I did a lot of that, but I was just like, alright, really this should not work, but
yeah, exactly. But it's kind of run out of ideas now of how of what plausible and what not.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
So like case in point, right? There's slight spoiler. So there's a plan, like I said, the master plan, back in the '98 World Cup game, right? Like just on paper, that makes no sense. like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it really comes like just like it just feels so desperate. You're like, oh, like, everybody's gonna be tuning into the game, so just sneak into this one place and steal shit. Like, no,
Yeah.
like that wouldn't work. And it's teenagers, right? You know what I mean? But like, no, that wouldn't work, right? You know what I mean? And even right now to like how Asan and his friend there, and they have like the France colors, so they face painted up. I'm like, dog, all this shouldn't have masks on. Like, what are they doing? You know what I mean?
Again,
It's like that.
it's up to you to accept that plausibility because, like, yeah, everybody hyped up over France thing because this was the time when France was winning.
Yeah.
They win for the first time. I think that was when they win for the first time and whatnot. No, so that's why again you had to buy it. It's up to you, but yeah, I get why if you reject it, I understand why you would reject it too.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me too much, but yeah, I get it.
Right. That being said, though, I had to address the elephant in the room here, right? So, we talk about plausibility and all that kind of stuff, right? Again, slight spoiler for this, right? So, I'm not going to say why he does it, right? But I would say to get closer to his family, Asan dons a new persona. And I won't lie to you, as I tried to buy into it, boy, but I absolutely could not. And I'll tell you why, right? So, I don't remember if the last season did this, but I felt like this one leaned a little bit more into MI territory, as in Mission Impossible territory,
Exactly.
where we have to make
that's what I was
prosthetic
thinking of.
faces.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I was
because
thinking of. Yeah.
because I'm cool with him just putting on like a fake mustache and a beard and eyebrows and whatnot. I cool with that, and him putting on like a costume. So case the point is a moment where he dressed like a literal pimp, like from the 70s.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, right? The context is weird. And like, why would you dress that way for this? And it kind of makes no sense. But I just saw it as okay. It gives Omar a moment to shine, right? There's another bit involving him going to meet his mom, and he dressed like just how swagged out he dressed there. Like, why do like I kind of get, but it makes no sense, right? But yeah, dog, like the man make a prosthetic mask, and he had this distortion thing for his vocals, and it's straight out of MI, right? Where you have the strip, and the strip is right next to your vocal cords. It's like when you talking, it sounds different, and like, dog, the man have an app on the phone to distort the voice when somebody call him. I'm like, what? What is this? Wow, how? Where? Let me go on Google Play Store and find that. Let me find that, right? But yeah, I try it. I really try by Ricardo, but every time I saw that mask, that was cringe. That was cringe, right? Why it couldn't have just been a simple little makeup stuff? Why are we doing the whole prosthetic mask thing, right? Now, to the show's credit, right? They will not linger on it too much, right? They'll either show it from the side view, every so often show a little front view, and then cut, right? But like near to the end, it's like a really emotional moment involving him and his ex, right? Because remember, it's to get close to her, and it leans on him, and I'm supposed to buy into she being attracted to him. Like, no, look at that face. Oof, what is that, right?
Yeah.
It almost took me out to the show, but it was bad, right? It was bad.
Yeah, it was kind of dutish. Yeah, that was kind of.
Yeah,
I find this season.
Lassie, and I'm like, why are you going through all this trouble, Joe? Like, really? But I do like how I do like the payoff though. Slight spoiler where is like the wife is like, yeah, I know who he was, but it's how she find out. I thought was really cool, right? There was a setup involving the two of them at this mall. Last spoiler, I'll say. I thought that's when we would have gotten the moment where she find out who he really is, but it's like, no, that didn't happen there, and it was kind of weird and kind of like it didn't really add up to anything, right? So before I wrap up. Again, pacing is great though. How the story wraps up, I felt was a tad bit rushed. And
Agreed.
even though I don't buy into the main antagonist as a villain, because like even earlier on when he's introduced, like, no, you just have like a bully more than anything else too. But I felt like him being the main villain in this was kind of forced. Like, we just needed somebody from Asan's past to be this guy, but like, why him?
I mean, that's the conceit. That's kind of conceit of the show, and it kind of bothered me that they had to force to do that this time around. Like, we don't have to flashback every time,
Yeah. And it's like, okay,
I get it, but
yeah, and it's like you, the guy, you going through all this, man. You have this man going through all this drama just to prove a point. Okay, well, I don't know, right? If I could just give one last gripe, though, right? So in the middle of the season, right? Well, I think it's 4 or whatever, right? This is where Asan has to do the second or third set of robberies, right? This guy, this generic ass bad guy, this tough guy, not even mafia, he's just like this thug guy, right? And I seen that like his character almost talk about this show too because it's the whole cliche, okay, I'm gonna intimidate you and I have this prop, right? And you're gonna do something with this prop, and if you don't if you know you don't do it properly, I'll kill you. And when I see this
Right.
shit, I like, dog, like what is this shit? Like we this is not a different
Yeah.
show I'm watching here. It is
Yeah.
so cliche, Jerry. He's such a forgettable villain though. Although I do like the actual job that takes place in between all that genericness though, but yeah, him as a villain though, as a side villain, just did not work for me, right? Apart from that, though, just getting those gripes out of the way, though, I still enjoyed it, right? I dug the
Yeah.
performances. Again, Omasai is Asan, and he's just so great. I really dug the relationship between him and Yusuf, right? The detective, right? And him just being this Lupin nerd and knowing everything about it. They actually
Yeah.
do meet up, and again, huge stretch. We help him with that job, and but even there, all it worked because the man was using makeup, like typical stuff that like prosthetic face and shit. But other than that, it's it still worked, right? It was a nice little two Lupin nerds doing that job kind of thing. It was kind of fun, right? Um,
Right.
and this
I like that
last
they're bringing the young friend who's the technician. He was on a thing too.
or
Those things like
Benjamin,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Ben, and how they work Benjamin into the story was great, right?
Yeah.
Lastly, that last thing, right? I do feel like the ending, right? Or I'll say the last 5-10 minutes, I felt like it was rushed. But I
Yeah.
do like where it stops off at, right? With the character of Hassan himself, right? But the reveal at the very end, right? Which I'm not gonna spoil. I will not lie because I didn't see the first season. I had to recap this, so I had to Google it. I saw a name, and when I saw the name, I was like, "Oh shit, is you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?" And I
Not
won't
that
lie
bad.
though,
They're not
that
bad.
hammer legit excited for
Yeah.
part 3 or season 4, boy. Because where this season stops off is like, whoa, okay,
Yeah. That
shit
wasn't
just
bad.
get
That
real.
wasn't bad.
That
Yeah.
was
Exactly.
great. So rating wise, I'm gonna give this strong three. Strong 3.5 to a light 4, man. Didn't
Right.
love it. But as a binge, it totally worked though. Again, the really is the pacing that really make the season work for me, right? Again, just some implausible stuff. Again, that prosthetic mask just almost took me out of the show. Like, how?
Yeah.
I'm just watching. Oh gosh, I'm watching Claire's character, right? That's Assange's ex. I'm like, how you not see it through this? Like you not literally see it through this?
Yeah.
Like come on, right? And it's even worse because they bring his son into it too, and him just looking
Yeah.
up on him, kind of obsessed and wondering if his father's still alive. Raul, that's his name, right? Like
Yeah.
even he and all can see through that mask. Like, come on, man, bro, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, implausible. This aside though, this was still enjoyable, man. And I would say if you're a fan of the series thus far, and if you just enjoy that romanticized heist, shows, yeah, you really enjoy this. But it's not as dark as the last season of or last half of the first season, right? Even though it kind of veers into that territory ever so often, like especially in the final couple of episodes. But other than that, yeah, it's a breeze of a binge, man. So yeah, definitely check it out. Yeah, Ricardo, take it away. Your thoughts on this season here and rating. Take your
Yeah.
time with it.
Much weaker than the second season, in my humble opinion. But I still had fun with it for what it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mostly because I didn't like that it was. I really enjoyed how dark that second season one and how it
Okay.
escalated now. This one they dial it back, and again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I really wanted them to do something more interesting with it and have him evolve now, come up with something brand new. Don't linger in his past or anything like that. I don't know. The script itself is not bad. The core conceit of it is like, all right, I get what they're going for. Stuff with the mother, not bad. But the main bring down one is the actual heist themselves much weaker than the first one. Sorry, second season. First season had some okay heists, but I thought the second season had some really clever, like how they address the heist thing. This time, not so much. I was just pretty underwhelmed, all things considered, with it, and I was like, all right, I get it, but yeah, I really wanted them to do something different with it, all things considered. But yeah, that is about it. I didn't hate this, but I really wish we got for lack of a better term, something more conscientious, a little not necessarily smarter, but it could have punched up the script and the writing better. But it was pretty underwhelming, all things considered. So I
Okay.
forget the score I give. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Well, I forgot the score you gave the last one. I think you really gave you gave the last one or the last half of it Just that whole season, sorry, a pretty high score. No, you really enjoyed that, right?
Yeah,
But question, we thought about the ending, especially that reveal, without spoiling anything, of course.
yeah, yeah, okay. It was one of those because the actual final product was underwhelming. This was just kind of too little, too late kind of thing. It's not a bad twist. I get it. I get what you're going for. But like because the rest of it not that strong, this not that interesting or engaging to me to say that way boy that hammer hype me up. But again, what it leaves and leaves open is pretty. Hopefully, like will bring in a strong season 4. But again, the nature of these the thing is that if you come up with something brand new and interesting, that is where it does rope me in. So, but catering to its own narrative for too long, this kind of I just get bored with it now. The purpose of this is that
Understand.
you set up the character, and then you build from there. The whole point of these first couple of seasons, or the first double half of season, is just to set up the character, and then you just build really clever original stories as from there. But that's it. It brings it back. So I'm not sure if a fan of that, but it is an interesting reveal for what it is. But it didn't blow me away. Like, all right, okay,
Right.
moving on. But yeah,
Last question before I get to Rita, right? How much did that mask get to you?
yeah, it was kind of dumb. Yeah, whatever. Again, shit like that don't bother me as much as other people, but I get it. Yeah,
Jesus.
whatever. Moving on.
But yeah, all
Yeah.
right. So your Rita.
Yeah, no, rating it's a lot lower than before, so I give it like a 7-ish into the 6 category, closer to a 6 to be honest, than that thing. But yeah, I was just disappointed with this one. I didn't hate it, but I was underwhelmed. That's all I'll say. So
All
yeah,
right, I understand. All right.
yeah,
Well, I guess
yeah.
if you're a diehard fan, you probably wouldn't get this one, but I still say check it out. Check it out, man. Yeah.
Right, right.